All right, so we'll see. I don't know how many videos I'm going to watch today, but I definitely want to watch this one because the title is pretty crazy. But at the same time, it's 100% true. It's from LevelCapGaming, titled "Star Citizen is almost mainstream." I mean, it is definitely in the mainstream conversation right now with some larger streamers playing it and YouTubers and things like that, right? So, a lot more people are talking about it than normal. And the thumbnail says, "Is it good now?" Chat, what's the answer to that question? Is it good?
Star Citizen is currently free to play during its Invictus launch weekend. Anyone can now jump in and see the latest mega patch that's overhauled huge components of the game. And this truly is a huge patch that shows off Star Citizen's epic scale. From the new mega ships in the Expo Hall and the Idris Tour to the huge distribution centers where you can fight your way through waves of armed guards. And for the first time in basically ever, Star Citizen is starting to feel more like a game. Not just a tech demo that can do some neat stuff, but a platform in which the major gameplay loops can actually be run through by the average player. Even some of the bigger name streamers who have never tried this game before are finally jumping in to explore the wonder that is Star Citizen. To some mixed reviews.
What's your impression of Star Citizen? I cannot believe the game is in that state after 12 years.
All right, now firstly, if you're thinking about...
He left the good one. Like, he only used the calm one from Shroud.
Signing up for the free fly event, making an account, consider using my referral code to get some bonus starting credits. They'll be permanently added to your account, so whenever there's a...
Do you need more referrals, Level?
Character reset, you'll have some extra starting cash. Secondly, as you go through your character creation process, try setting Area 18 as your starting location that you can spawn near the Expo Hall and check out the cool Invictus Launch Week event right at the start. The event is basically a mock Navy recruitment event, even though you can't technically be recruited into the Navy yet, and taking the train to the convention.
Or ever, right? Are we going to be in, like... That's like an interesting question. Like, obviously Squadron 42 were in it. But do we ever build rep with the UEE? That'll be an interesting one. You know? Cuz like technically we're retired Navy pilots, right? So technically, or well, we aren't. I think it's like our choice. If we play through Squadron 42, we are. But if we don't, we aren't. So that's actually interesting. I don't know if we'll ever be in the UEE Navy, but we might be able to build rep with them by like helping them do missions through the CDF. Things like that, but I don't know.
All standing at the UEE statue to take a picture. It all feels like actually touring a real convention hall. Heading through the entrance and seeing the new massive Polaris ship rise up off the floor was genuinely impressive. Right? This ship might be a somewhat divisive design for some players, and also it's generally a big multi-crew ship reserved.
Yo, I think it's ugly as hell from the outside. Just saying. I think it's super ugly.
For Star Citizen's whales, but seeing the scale of this game in person is incredible. All the ships in the main hall this year are pretty darn big, but the Polaris compared to, say, a previously large ship like the Constellation really stands out. Unfortunately, we can't tour the inside of the Polaris yet as the ship is still unfinished. However, in last Friday's Star Citizen Live, CIG dropped some news that the Polaris would be flyable later this year at the International Aerospace Expo. Another event that's kind of the same as this one, but designed to show off major new ships and ship sales and all that kind of stuff. Plus, players can rent pretty much all the ships shown off for free, so it's a great option.
Because it's made by RSI Puke. The new stuff looks cool, like the Zeus and stuff. Everything that is on the screen right now is like outdated and ugly looking to me.
Opportunity to try out some of these super expensive ships that you otherwise might not be able to. And I believe when the Polaris launches, it'll be the largest spawnable combat ship in the game, assuming that CIG doesn't give us the Idris as well. And speaking of which, the Idris is available to tour now for the first time ever. I've covered leaks and previous events while the Idris was accessible to players who ran specific missions, but for the average person, it was relatively inaccessible and I never got to tour it personally. So this was a really cool experience, and it is such a massive maze-like interior that you'll find yourself stumbling around until you pop out on the bridge, or you find yourself looking out over the main hangar bay.
We already know, because we experienced it in the Idris event. Some of us did, but in case you didn't know, did you notice something on the screen? Those were NPCs walking around, right? So NPCs walking around this ship, interacting with it, you know, could potentially defend it. They defended it against us at one time. So keep that in mind as well. That doesn't really function very well on any of the other ships, but it works relatively well on this one. So that's just like a thing to make note of there for the future of Star Citizen. We obviously need that really bad.
Truly an impressive ship, both from scale, interior, exterior. It's going to be cool when this is spawnable in game. And walking through the ship, it really does give me a good idea of how Star Citizen's multi-crew gameplay could really expand to a massive scale. While romping around with a few friends in a 3 to 4 seater ship is a great time, you can literally land one of those smaller ships inside of an Idris, which is essentially a flying base. And it's not even close in size to the biggest ships that are planned for this game. Now, speaking of gameplay, for a free fly event, 3.23 has been unusually stable. I was able to group up with Matimio and a few others to run some...
We got to be careful when we say stable, because I think some people are like, it's not stable. Like, once again, I had my first server crash recovery 5 minutes ago since 3.23 launched. And like 3.23.0 launched, and it recovered in less than a minute and was pretty good. Like, I didn't have that many issues related to it. That's what he means by stable. We're all looking at 3.18 and expecting a similar experience from 3.18 to this. And in case you guys don't know, for a 30-day period, a month, I was not able to even log into Star Citizen for a month. Okay? So we are comparing it stability-wise from 3.18. There are tons of bugs, tons of issues, so many problems with this patch. That is not what Level is referring to. He is referring to the ability to log in, the ability to play. Occasionally NPCs actually shoot back at you. Sometimes the missions actually work, because the expectation was fire everywhere, panic, everything is falling apart, and it didn't. So that's what every creator, when they tell you it's surprisingly stable, that's what they're referring to. It's not 3.18. Okay? So don't yell at him in the comments
missions,
like I'm
and for
sure
the
you
most
did.
part, nothing really got in our way. Now, to be fair, I did run into multiple broken missions earlier that evening that didn't let me complete them, but compared to the past, during massive free fly events, the game has been so much more playable and much more stable. I wasn't sure if it was going to get there. Now, the massive distribution centers were particularly cool to play through finally on some missions. Landing to the sides of these facilities, breaching into a major bulkhead door, and clearing out the armed NPCs was genuinely cool. The NPCs felt a bit more responsive, not challenging by any stretch, but certainly less brain dead than they have been in the past. And the sprawling distribution centers are beautifully crafted and fun to fight in. They're not technically quite as big in scale as some of the original concepts portrayed them to be, but they do feel like there's a few elevator areas that might be added in later to expand these complexes with multiple levels and subterranean caves. The mission opportunities feel like they could be endless here, especially once engineering gameplay is added in, needing to disable power relays to open doors and turn off security checkpoints. Progress from zone to zone could be really cool. And I haven't even come close to exploring the full extent of new missions added in this patch, but the variety is...
The big thing for me is the missions that I've done here were pretty intense, pretty cool. But just like every other mission, they're going to get entirely too repetitive for me. if and only if there is if there continues to be no reason to do them. They did a decent job making the NPCs have a variety of loadouts. So, for example, there were some sniper rifles that the NPCs were using. That's never happened before. So, you can farm snipers that way. There's some things to farm. There's some things to do. I need more things to farm. I need different armor, that is good against laser, all right, I know I need really good laser armor. Let me go and farm these guys for a while and get that, right? Does that mean the P6 is farmable? It always has been if you go to Jump Town. I mean, it's in the loot containers there. But for me personally, I need our armor and weapons and attachments and ship components and insert everything here to have unique characteristics that create new and exciting experiences for you, right? Progression for you. That's what I need. JT loot is bad now? Okay, gotcha.
It's exciting for sure.
Then
now,
I
of
would
course, it
farm
wouldn't be a
these.
free fly event without a bunch of new ships CIG was trying to sell to the community. And one of the big winners here is the Ursa Medevac. This is pretty much the same old six-wheeled Ursa rover from before, but with a new medical bed in the back versus seats or storage. And this is a big deal now because medical beds can be used as short-range respawn points. Basically, drive this thing up to a dangerous mission, park it out front somewhere safe, and then head in knowing that if you die, you'll be able to respawn here. And
Speaking of Jump Town, if you're not using one of these, you're dumb. Because you can respawn at one of these and nobody can see it. So for those of you guys that don't know, vehicles have very small signatures. So there are not a lot of ships that can see this unless they get lucky enough to get close and notice you. I think it's 500 meters, something like that.
Into the distribution centers, it was clear that it was already being used for this purpose outside by some other players. And this new medical bed gameplay applies to ships as well, like the Cutlass Red and other ships that have medical beds. In fact, parking one of the new Ursa rovers inside of a ship without a medical bay, like say the Corsair, gives that ship the ability to now spawn your crew, which is a massive gameplay improvement. And
yeah, it is. And it's cool because you make the sacrifice between, do I want it to have a medical bed or do I want to grab cargo, right?
it's still early in concept, but it seems like CIG are starting to understand that people need a way to get back into the fight in a relatively timely manner and not hamper group gameplay like they have been before. Potentially a more accessible Star Citizen, dare I say. There's also a new grav bike, which generally speaking isn't a particularly exciting addition to the game, but because it's incredibly small in size, it means it can fit in just about any ship out there, and it could be great for small crew who needs...
Suggestion to anybody who decides to use this thing. If you are using it on the surface of a planet and are trying to use it to travel anywhere, please press spacebar and go max ride height or you die. Okay? If you do anything other than go max ride height, you will die with this thing currently, okay? They need to fix GravLev. It's a huge mess from that standpoint. They will eventually, but you got to go max ride height or you're dead.
Some additional ground transport options. Now, of course, I'm still exploring the 3.23 patch, which again is massive. It's loaded with new features, and the core theme that I'm finally starting to see with these changes is gameplay and accessibility.
I'm not seeing gameplay. I am seeing accessibility, though, Level. How do you change max ride height? Press spacebar. Spacebar, strafe up. Control, strafe down. Those are how you do it. But yeah, I haven't seen any really new gameplay outside of the illegal box mission is actually really cool. If you guys haven't done that one at a distribution center, but that's the only kind of unique mission because we're still just doing needless, senseless fetch and kill quests. I still haven't seen any meat on the bone just yet personally, but accessibility, 100%.
To a polished extent, but the Squadron 42 features that hopefully are making that game
I now know what he means by new missions, the dog stuff. But again, they're kill quests.
fun and accessible for single player are now trickling over into the multiplayer, and it's a pretty big deal for anyone who's been playing this game for a while. The new looting UI is great now. It works more consistently. The star map, while still a bit clunky, is a massive quality of life upgrade for coordinating and getting around quickly. The Moby-Glass mission UI is better. The mini-map is a godsend for navigating.
I'm sure he'll get to the star map. I had a thing today where I was salvaging, and I salvaged components and wanted to sell them. And I used the star map to see if there was a platinum bay for me to sell the components at. Like, what a quality of life feature. Right? Instead of having to go to a website to find out, I just looked in game. It was awesome.
It was like the interaction prompts are great. Not finished yet, but already I can see the potential of this cleaner, more streamlined system. Now that said, there is still a long way to go when it comes to Star Citizen's accessibility. Booting up Star Citizen solo for the first time is going to be a rough process, and I wouldn't recommend it for the average player without watching an in-depth guide on just how to get started. The key bindings in this game are also still absolute mess, and CIG really needs to figure out a way to start consolidating functions into more shared function experiences. We also now have Star Citizen's 4.0 patch on the progress tracker, and it's a huge deal. Server meshing and pyro are
guys, it took me 2 days to make my keybinds, I think.
Literally on the board for the next major content pushes. CIG called 2024 the watershed year for Star Citizen, which may actually prove to be true. This is the coolest the game has ever been. Maybe not the most polished, but despite things like missions breaking and laggy bugs occurring, what's here is very good. And if it can be polished, or at the very least, not buggy and game breaking at times, I think we can realistically start to look at Star Citizen as more of a game than a tech demo. There's enough core content now to keep players engaged for much longer. Endgame is
I love Level. I love Level. But I just disagree with that statement. I think how much longer is what I would ask him. How much longer are players engaged? I can only speak for myself. But when I look at the breadth of everything, how much longer are players staying engaged without a major change to the way we play the game, right? I can only speak for myself, and I've said it multiple times during this, is what would keep me engaged is a sense of progression. I've been saying this for years and years and years, and I think they're getting and trying to get to that place, but they're not there yet for me. But I will say, I have played this patch more than I expected to. But at this point, I do feel like I'm bored, and I'm just kind of testing and investigating, but I'm able to test and investigate because of the improvement to quality of life. EVA not punishing at all. Gunplay feels good, right? Certain things feel good. So I feel like I'm able to investigate a little bit more, but I don't currently feel like I'm playing anymore because it's so unfair, because I went through the entire cycle from Evo to now, right? I've seen those dogs for months. Do I want to do another dog killing mission ever in my life? Absolutely not, right? Not until I take that horn and I turn it into something. Not until that mission progresses me more than just a few credits and a little bit of reputation that delivers me just a mission to kill more dogs, right? So it's not that I disagree with the statement. I thought I did, but when you really think about it, the point of this patch was to deliver the tech that prevented 30Ks from literally ending your session and quality of life features that prevent bugs from literally ending your session. Now, are there other bugs? Are there other session ending things? Absolutely. So now that I've gotten this like roundabout, I agree strongly with what Level said, is that the play sessions are longer. I'm able to play for longer, but the things that I'm playing still aren't engaging me enough. But yeah, so I don't disagree with that. If you think about it from a gameplay standpoint, you would. But if you think about it with everything in mind, I think he's pretty spot on.
Still not really anywhere to be seen yet, but the early to even mid-game missions and tasks really have fleshed out kind of a core Star Citizen experience that'll keep the average newcomer.
But like, that's the core Star Citizen experience, what he just showed on screen. You were there for 10 minutes, and the NPC just walks up to you to die, right?
Busy for quite a while. Now, I'm not saying that you need to get in and play Star Citizen now because, well, you're still going to find that it's very buggy in many ways and has a rough onboarding experience. But if you can weather some of that jankiness, there is a good time to be had behind it all. I'm very excited to see the 3.23 patch expand and get hopefully more stable as we progress towards 4.0.
These guys have snipers. Like, this mission was like unique to anything that we've had before, and it was cool.
And beyond. Have you been able to check out the latest Free Fly event? What has been your experience so far? Buggy, stable, fantastic, you hate it? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave me a like, subscribe for more content like it, and ding that notification bell to beat the YouTube algorithm with me. Up next, check out my devlog for a space game that I'm making. I got inspired to make my own top-down space adventure, and I'm having an absolute blast working on it. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. This is LevelCap signing off.
But yeah, that's the thing that I need to like calm down a little bit about, is when other people say that things are playable, they don't necessarily mean the things that I care about. You know what I mean? They mean that they were able to play a little bit longer, or they found some fun, things like that. Where for me, I've stated a million times what I need. And I need a certain thing that is going to take a very long time to be fleshed out. And that is like progression in every aspect of the game, right? Economic progression, weapon progression, armor progression, ship progression, reputation progression, base building progression, crafting. Every time I open a loot box, every single item in the game has a meaningful use that I do something with, whether it's crafting, usability, whatever. And I make a choice every single time I open a container or loot a player, right? Every item. I mean, Sharp, you're a Tarkov player. The moment they put in the hideout in Tarkov was the moment that I was like, damn, this is a game I really want to play. I wish I wasn't so bad at FPS games, right? And that's what I need from Star Citizen, is when you find a Mashi Plague or Golden Medmon or a horn from a Copian. What do I do with those things? Do I just eat them? Can they turn into other things? What sort of crafting can I do? And then when I do craft those things, what sort of experience do those things give me outside of the base items that are in the game, right? That kind of thing. That's what I need, and I will forever argue that that is and should be one of the number one priorities in this game. I will fight for that till I'm dead. And every day I wake up, I'm still going to fight for that, because the game world that they've built, for me personally, if they put that stuff in the game, I could play this game every day. And that's what I want. And I'll fight for that and keep talking about it, because that's what I enjoy. And I'm gonna keep pounding it until it happens, you know. But I don't know if it'll happen. I'm not super confident right now. Like, we're seeing some silly things happening in the PU that probably should have been resolved before, and economy-wise, and it's all in the economy guys' hands. So for me, we've had a broken economy for so long that they really got to prove out to me that they're going to do it, you know, and they haven't done it yet, but I am not saying that they're doing bad. I'm just saying I'm going to be patient, but I don't know how long I can wait anymore for. It's like the meme with the guy with the stick, like, just do something, man, do something. They kind of went around and fixed a lot of things, but there's still a lot broken left, and now they have to do some things. But overall, the video is really good from Level. If you guys don't know LevelCap, I found him many, many years ago through Battlefield, and he was actually the content creator that made me want to make video game content before I ever bought Star Citizen. He was the first one. I watched his channel every time I thought about what kind of creator I wanted to be. It was what he was doing was the most inspiring for me. So it's crazy that he's here playing games, playing Star Citizen, and like, you know, we watched CitizenCon together and stuff like that. So Level's a really great guy. Show him some love, and definitely check out those vlogs because they're actually really cool.